This is the one practice that I want every single one of you to be practicing. You're going to keep digging yourself into a hole with your manifestation process, conscious creation process, shifting your way of being, whatever you want to call it, if you don't stop your old state when you notice it come up in the moment and rewire with the new. What's up? My name is Sabrina and welcome back to the channel. Here in the Better You space, we teach creatives, dreamers, and entrepreneurs how to train their minds to make their daydreams their real daily lives. If you're looking for a deeper transformation, feel free to check out one-on-one mentorship or our online signature program, Unleash Your Life. And I just created a short workbook for you to be your guide in training your mind to make your specific daydreams a reality that I highly suggest checking out. The links for those will be left in the description below, and let's get into it. Please stay until the end because I go over some important parts of the last step that is going to make this practice really impactful for you. Okay, so when you start training your mind into a new state, say you wake up, you do your visualization meditation in the morning, maybe when you're getting ready, you do your affirmations, you go about your day, and then you notice as your subconscious mind is operating your body, as your subconscious mind operates 90 to 95% of your daily thoughts, emotions, and actions, you will notice that your old state of being that you're wanting to change, that you're wanting to get out of so that you can create something different, this old way will come up for you. And it will most likely come up for you many, many times. This is just a natural part of the conscious creation or manifestation process. When this happens, not if, but when, unfortunately, it happens to the best of us, I want you to practice what I abbreviated as PRR. This stands for pause, regulate, rewire. I'm going to say that again. Write it down, take notes, put it on a sticky note on your mirror. Pause, regulate, rewire. So when you feel that trigger come up, when you feel that old story come up, you feel stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, angry, doesn't matter. This is when you pause. Feeling stressed from work, pause. Feeling anxious about money, pause. You're worried about things going wrong, pause. This pause is what I like to call the golden pause, because when you do this, you are like breaking that neural pathway. The only reason that this emotion came up for you, that these old thoughts came up for you that you don't want to experience, the only reason that these came up is because it's on autopilot, is because that's what your subconscious mind has been programmed to do and to think and to feel. In the training your mind process, we are training our minds to have a different type of subconscious programming so that our minds and bodies automatically operate in the way that we want to, not in the way that it was programmed to from when we were a child. So I want you to imagine your old way of being, your old state, these familiar, uncomfortable emotions that you don't want to experience anymore. These are like big gears that are just constantly churning and turning and going in your mind and in your body. You've felt them for years and they have a lot of momentum behind them. So it's going to automatically come up for you. When you notice yourself, you have to have enough self-awareness to notice when these thoughts come up, to notice when these feelings come up, to notice when this old story comes up. When you notice it and you stop yourself in that moment, you're like, hold up. I don't want to think this. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to live by this. You were like putting a stick in the gear. You're literally stopping it, halting it, breaking that neural pathway that is so used to flowing. And sometimes when the trigger has been big enough, when it's kind of like taken over my whole body and it has a strong emotional charge behind it, sometimes I've literally put down my phone, put down my coffee, put down my laptop, and I've stood up and I'm like, okay, hold up. Like this is strong and I don't want to live by this. Sometimes you have to physically take yourself away and physically stop what you're doing to stop the cycle because it has that much momentum behind it. From here, pause, regulate. You want to regulate. Unfortunately, your body cannot fully get out of your old state without regulating your nervous system. Why? Because our minds and bodies are wired with not only the thoughts, but also the emotions. In order to wire something into our body, it needs to also have that emotional charge behind it, positive or negative. Which is why they always say feeling is the secret. So when an old state has come up, the energy of this emotion needs to be released through and out of your system by regulating your nervous system. And the good thing about this is that we have the tools to do so. I just recorded a video on 4 different tools and practices you can do in your own time and space for free to regulate your nervous system. So if you want to check that out after watching this, I highly recommend, because you will need to get your body to a calm and neutral state before switching it over to what you do want to create, especially if the undesirable state, your old state, has a high emotional charge. The higher the emotional charge, the longer it may take to regulate your system and to do this process. Take all the time you need. This is something that you really, really, really want to prioritize. It would be very difficult to shift your emotional state from stress that is rated 9 out of 10 on the emotional scale to immediately switch it over to gratitude and calm, rated a 9 out of 10 from the emotional scale. Especially when you have stronger emotional charges behind them, you need to work your way up. You need to neutralize your system before you get to that higher state that you want to be in. Now, if this is something smaller that you're wanting to train your mind in, say you have these little annoying thoughts that really don't have much emotional charge behind them, but you don't want to be thinking them anyway. Say your brother-in-law chews really loud and you keep getting like slightly annoyed by him eating his food, and you don't want to be annoyed by it anymore, and it's like a 2 out of 10 on the emotional scale, you really won't need to spend that much time regulating your system because it has such a smaller emotional charge. This is something that you can notice it. You're like, oh wait, I'm getting annoyed by his chewing again. Let me just take one simple breath in and out. That can be your regulating. And then let me just switch my thought pattern to focusing on something else, focusing on how good the food is in front of me, focusing on how I'm grateful that my brother-in-law provided this dinner for me. This is a random example. I'm not personally annoyed by my brother-in-law chewing. It was just something I thought of. But you get the gist here. The higher the emotional charge, the longer you have to spend regulating. The less of the emotional charge, the faster you can just switch the thought process over and focus on what you do want to create. Then after regulating your system, PRR, we then rewire. You're going to become aware of what do you want to create? What is your desired state? If you don't want to feel stressed and anxious, how do you want to feel? If you don't want to experience your subconscious pattern of procrastination, what behavior do you want to portray? Okay, so having clarity on this before it even comes up, just having that self-awareness on the major cycles that you're wanting to wire yourself in and out of is great to have before doing this. And then you're going to want to practice some kind of focus work, meaning intentionally putting your focus on what you do want to create for yourself. Visualize, if you're stressed about things going wrong with work, visualize work going seamlessly. Hype yourself up and remind yourself who you are by doing a self-talk rampage. Start just affirming, you know what? Everything works out in my favor. I choose to feel at ease. I choose to feel calm. I choose to trust. Okay, guys, this practice does not end until you've reached the feeling state of your desired state through doing this focus work. So if you do the pause, you regulate yourself, and then you only say 2 affirmations, or you only spend 10 seconds focusing on what you want to create, and then go on about your day. You're, yes, stopping the old cycle, but you're not actively rewiring to the effectiveness that you can. Because through the practice of feeling into this new state, that is the active rewiring. Pause is just breaking the old wire. Feeling into this new state, you are firing those new neurons and you are wiring them in so that they can be those automatic reactions for you. You will not successfully program your mind. You will not successfully train your mind to have these positive and desirable automatic reactions without spending some solid time in doing the focus work in the rewiring step. And I get it. It may take a few minutes of your time. So I just want to ask you, is you changing your automatic thoughts, emotions, habits, and behaviors worth a few extra minutes of your time? I want you to love yourself enough to devote yourself to doing this work because it works. Now, in order for this practice to be really effective in training your mind to operate out of this new way, your desired way, you need to create more emotional momentum behind your desired state versus the emotional momentum of the trigger that just came up for you. You need to override the programming of the trigger. So if this old state that you're wanting to program yourself out of has a very high emotional charge, again, it's going to take a few extra minutes. It's worth your time. The more you do this practice, the less emotional charge the trigger will have, and the less time you'll have to spend doing this practice until you just automatically are experiencing the desired new state. Our subconscious programming operates our system through whatever programming it has gotten more of. It's a very simple process, meaning if whatever triggered you into this undesired state is rated on the emotional scale of 6 out of 10, and it's a little higher up there, When you do the rewiring process, you need to reach the feeling of this desired state that feels more than a 6 out of 10. And you can rate where your old state and new state are on the emotional scale by simply how strong you feel it in your body, how strong you believe it. Personally, one of my favorite ways to spend in my rewiring process, at least right now, is doing a self-talk rampage. So in the rewiring process, you just want to go off about how you want to feel. You want to go off about how great your life is. You want to go off about how smooth work is going for you. You want to go off about how amazing you feel. Whatever your desired state is, just go on a full rampage on it. And it'll let the emotion of this new state to build and build and build and build because you're just stacking it on top of each other. So that's a really fast, effective way to rewire into this new state for you to build up to that emotional height that you want to program your mind. And this is a practice, PRR, pause, regulate, rewire, is a practice that you are going to want to do every single time this old state comes up for you. The more it comes up for you and the more you practice PRR, the faster you are going to rewire your mind. The more emotional charge you put in the new state, the faster you are going to retrain your mind. The faster you are able to pause that old state, the faster you're able to rewire your mind. The better you get at regulating your system so that you're not as triggered by everything, the faster you're going to be able to retrain your mind. This process only gets easier. This process only gets better, but you have to stay consistent with it and you have to be present in the process. Be patient with yourself. Let yourself go through with it. It may feel frustrating. That's okay. You may have to stop yourself multiple times throughout your day. That's okay. It only gets easier. It only gets better. If you got to this point of the video, leave a brain emoji in the comment section below so I know who made it to this point. Give this video a thumbs up to help out the channel. Share it with a friend. Subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified, and I will see you in the next video.